because these theories are so technically sophisticated that you really have to invest a lot of time to build up the backdrop of the theory. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. It has to be explained in some context. That's why I took a lot of time. So now we know that the agency theory is referring to this conflict of interest between the economic players, because the conflict happens because the needs, preferences, interests could be different. And also one reason why this conflict of interest takes place is because there is a different level of information which the principal and the agent have. Okay, like in this case, in this model, in Anglo-Saxon model, you can assume that the principal knows more than, the agent knows more than the principal, because the principals are so scattered. Here, the principal are taking part in even at the operational level of the company. So I would assume that in this case, the gap between the information accumulation between the agent and the top block holder is less. But between the big investor and the small investor, the information gap is huge. Like these people can come and call the CEO whenever they wish to. These people maybe in the lifetime would never see the company's head office. They don't need it because they keep changing. The point I'm trying to make is that the one more thing which is causing the agency problem is that there is an information asymmetry. In the perfect world, in a utopian situation, the information will be symmetrical to all the stakeholders of a company. But that's not true. We know that the CEO or the top managers know the company more than anybody else, or they should know the company more than anybody else, because they are the people who knows all the ins and outs of the company, and they are the one who take strategic decisions. They have all the inside information. All right. Whereas the principal are staying away from the company. So I would say that the information gap, that the information asymmetry is very deep and wide in case of Anglo-Saxon companies, but only when you compare principal and the agent. But here we compare, if we compare principal and the agent, the big block holders with agent, the gap is not that much. But when you compare the big block holders with the minority shareholders, the gap would be huge. Okay, so they people know more because they are the one who are very influential in the company's decision making. These people can cast vote, but they don't have so many votes as these people have. In an American company, you can be 2% owner of the company, 2%, 3%, and you're the biggest shareholder of the firm. In this case, you can own 40% of the company, but somebody owns 42%. You get my point? So the density of ownership is far more in the German style companies than in the US style companies. And that also reflects who knows how much. More you own, all else being equal, more you know about the company. Otherwise, why would you invest? Make sense? I will not go in the definitions because we explained everything. Agency cost, if I have to make categorization, agency cost can be trifurcated, means agency cost has three components. If I have to put agency cost in some labels, I would say agency cost is equal to, I'm trying not to rub off anything, agency cost is equal to monitoring cost plus bonding cost plus residual loss. The monitoring cost. You know what, sometimes do you study research methods? Yeah. And there would be one phrase in research methods. I'm not sure if the teacher would discuss with you or not. Or we use a phrase called proxy. Proxy. Proxy variable. We also call it instrument. For example, if you want to see if your variable is how peaceful is the city, okay? To check the peacefulness, you can see many variables. Or if you want to see that how peaceful is the city, you can see how many prisoners per thousand of people we have in the jail. Or you can see how many cops per 10,000 of people we have in the city. Or we can say how many crimes are reported in the city last year. Or we can also categorize, hey, don't include these petty crimes like somebody has bullied in the school, or some young boys, two boys were having crush for the same girl and they have a fist fight. That's not a crime, right? So let's categorize some serious kind of crime. So we have different kind of variables, different kind of measures. Your variable is same, which how peaceful is the city. But you can measure this peacefulness by different ways. That is called proxy. Same way, if you want to measure the agency cost, it's very, very difficult per se. But can we create some proxies to measure the agency cost? The one is monitoring cost. Why we use monitoring cost as a proxy to agency cost? Because if there's no agency problem, why would you monitor anybody? If I assume that when I give exam test to the students, nobody would cheat, nobody would be using any unfair mean, why is there any need for me to be supervising the students? The fact that there is a supervisor is a reflection that there's a potential, not real, but potential for cheating. Do you get my point? That is why the monitoring cost is a measure of agency cost, because if there's no agency cost, imagine there's no need to monitor anybody. But the fact that monitoring cost is a big cost which companies incur, that shows, that's a reflection that there is an agency cost present in the companies. And what is monitoring cost? The cost of monitoring who? The top manager's actions. Your external audit is a monitoring cost. You get my point? The fee you pay to the auditor to check the credibility, the truthfulness, the objectivity, the real fact about your financial data is called external audit. If the agents were honest, they have no divergence of their utility function from their principles, they would never manipulate financial data. But the fact that there is an auditing is a underlining of the fact that there is a possibility of agency cost. Do you get my point? How do you reckon a patient suffering from a disease or a symptom? The one is that the guy is sneezing, coughing, and you can see the visible sign of illness. The second way is that he's swallowing medicine up in front of you. You get my point? Look, these 2 points are very different. One is a symptom side, the visible symptom, and other side is that there's no visible symptom. But because of some actions of the person, you can make out that he might be ill, even though there are no visible signs. Do you get my point? So here, you don't see the agent doing any cheating, but the fact that there is an auditing process, the medicine, this is a medicinal way of looking at the thing, because there's a medicine company uses, is a reflection that there may be a possibility. The patient, the so-called patient can be having vitamin D tablets, but you are suspecting him to be suffering from some illness. I'm not saying the agent is doing some dilly-dallying, but what I'm saying is that the fact that there is an auditing cost is a reflection that there might be a potential for the agent to do some data manipulation. Does make sense? There's a little bit of philosophy here, right? So the external audit process, and who are your big audit companies? You know, the money that we pay in the to the auditor. Where would you see that how much money you pay to the auditor? Where would you see it? Huh? Where would you see it? Well, it's a company expense. You will see in the income statement. If it is not visibly given, go to the working notes. There is always explanatory notes in the income statement. See, go and check. And if you look at any company's income statement, it always starts with the auditor's statement. And you have the big four auditors. KPMG is one. Ernst & Young is second. PricewaterhouseCoopers is third. And Deloitte and Touche is fourth. Do you know these big companies? And then we have some other companies like Accenture. And then at the local level, we might have some companies in Uvascular. Vera knows better about that. Don't you? So some small auditors, some small audit companies. The company you're working for in the project. No, comparatively, when you compare with KPMG, it's not as big as. So they are small players. And then there could be some individual guy, one individual, not even a company, but individual auditor. That's also possible. Yeah. But this company which we talk about is a kind of is an audit company. I call it small because they're not as big as. Consultancy. Well, all these KPMG, E&Y, they all are consultancy companies. They don't do, it's like a one-stop shop. So you can get everything from there. It's like a store. Yeah. And this sometimes becomes risky. Because if you look at the Enron company, the biggest so far, what do you call it? The epic corporate fall, Enron. When this company became bankrupt, guess what? The auditor also became bankrupt. Rather, auditor became bankrupt before the company was declared bankrupt. Because the auditor was like, as I use the phrase, one-stop shop. So the auditor was telling the company, guiding the company how to cheat, and then was checking if the company has cheated or not. Do you get my point? So when they do some other consultancy stuff, they guide you how to avoid paying tax, how to save, how to do some manipulation without being caught. And then they are checking, yes, this is correct, this is correct, this is correct. Okay, put a stamp, all fine. So therefore, the auditors, they play a big role if they have, so they get money from both audit and non-audit service. And as Vera said, they do some kind of consultancies also. And all the audit companies, they don't just survive on auditing revenue they earn, they also provide solution or consultancy to the companies as well. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is that the monitoring cost is huge. The second cost is called bonding cost. Bond. The bonding comes from the word bond. You want to create a bond between the principal and the agent so that if principal tries to do something wrong, then because of the bond, he or she also suffers. Therefore, the agent always becomes loyal and honest to the principal and tries to make principals richer, healthier, whatever, so that he also gets more money. That is called bonding cost. I can give you 3 examples of bonding cost. The first example of bonding cost is that, remember I told you some time ago that if you look at typical American style CEO, they can get even more than 90% of their pay package coming from the performance-based pay. So they get performance. I gave you example of BP also. what does it all show? It shows that if you perform well, well means well, which is in the interest of shareholders. The company's shareholders' value increases. You get more money. And if you don't perform well, well means if your actions, performance are against the interests of the shareholders and they lose money, you will also lose the bonuses. You will face the music as well. You will burn your fingers as well. This is a bonding cost. Imagine a situation, the agent is fully trusted by the principal, there's no agency cost potential. Guess what? All the money which you pay to the agent in the form of compensation, which means salary, would be fixed pay. There's no point of having performance-based pay because performance is taken for granted. But we don't take performance for granted. We want to check if agent performed well or not, because we have a suspicion that because of their utility function divergences, agent may deviate from what, the agent may deviate from what principles want. You get the point? So when you look at these companies, actually I should show you. Have a look at, can you see this? Is it visible? This right side? This is the CEO's salary, the pay package of Finnair. And you can get that he gets, this is million. Look. So that also reflects that the Finnish corporate governance system is closer to German style rather than, because look at the pay. I mean, these are peanuts. With this money, I think Samriti, you can only buy peanuts. Yeah, 1.6, and see this. This is a fixed pay. So out of this money, if you minus this money, that's all is performance-based. All right. So broadly speaking, you have two categories of compensation. But just check with what Coke and Pepsi or Apple's CEO get. Right? It will be maybe 20 times more or even more. So the point I'm trying to make is that you can check how much is the fixed and the performance-based pay. And as I said before, that this pay, this whole thing, if I close it, is vouching, saying it loud, shouting that, hey, I am there because there is a agency cost. If there was no agency cost, the whole money would have been flat fixed pay. The fact that we pay compensation based on performance is indicative of the presence of agency conflict. And this money is called bonding cost. If I have to label it, it would be called bonding cost. It creates a bond between the agent and the principal. Make sense? The other two indicators, if I have to find, they are, the other two indicators are, sorry. The other two indicators are the research and development to total sales revenue. So if you want to calculate, for example, somebody want to do research on agency cost, well, the monitoring cost is very straightforward. Just look at the money you spend on audit fee. And you can also check the bonding cost, either by looking at the fraction of performance-based pay to total pay. You have seen that nearly he was getting 600 something out of 1.5. So I would say he is getting around 65% pay based on performance. All right. So the one indicator is that you can check the ratio of the performance-based pay to total pay. The second indicator is, which we normally apply in empirical research, is research and development expenditure to sales revenue ratio. Why we use it? Because if you are a CEO, loyal, futuristic, you want to invest in the future of the company, you would be investing a larger share of revenue on research and development. The fact that the R&D you spend is indicative that you believe in the company's growth and future. So we use, see, this is not a direct measure, this is a proxy measure. This is why I'm using the phrase proxy. All right, so you are checking the variable bonding cost, but the proxy is, number one, the ratio of performance-based pay to fixed pay, to the total pay. Number two, the ratio of performance-based pay. No. The first one was the ratio of performance-based pay to total pay. And the second one could be research and development expenditure to total sales revenue. These two are very widely used measures of checking the bonding cost of the agent, right? Since we use this money, we spend it, is again a proxy that there is a potential of agency cost. The third thing is called residual loss. Residual loss. I want to portray a hypothetical picture in front of you. Imagine I'm the principal and you are the agent, and at the time of recruitment of you, when I gave you a job, I made a contract with you, your name, everything, and then we start writing that, hey, following are your liabilities or responsibilities. And there is a page after page after page after page. I'm trying to write down all the possible situations where you have to do this, but you don't have to do that. So I'm making it as clear as possible. But the point I'm trying to make is that, can I make a list of all the universal list of situations when you have to behave in a certain manner and you must not behave in a certain other manner? Is it possible? It depends upon what is my imagination, what my visualization. But when the reality comes, you have to tackle the situation, not me. Why should I tackle? I'm giving you salary, you should tackle, right? But then you tackle. Will you call me in an hour of crisis that, hey, Mr. Principal, what should I do or what shouldn't I do? The contract says this thing, the contract says that thing. No. Then you have the last laugh. You are the one who is in the command, who is in the chair. You are leading the ship. Don't look at me. Then you have to take a decision. When I say you have to take a decision, it means that you can choose your discretion while taking an action which can go off my radar. I can make a list of, I can make 100-page long job contract. But when it comes to reality check, nobody would care about those pages. What I want to know is that how well you execute, how well you combat a situation of risk or uncertainty. It means that ultimately the ball will be in your court, not in mine. You can give a smash, you can give a half volley, you can put in the net whatever you want. In other words, you have your discretionary powers. There is no way I can measure these discretionary powers. What could be the measure of residual cost? Do you get my point? This is something, this is why we always say that we can, in a very ideal world, we can make it zero. No auditing, no need to suspect anybody. The agent always works in the interest of principal, no bonding cost. This would never be zero. There would always be some extra advantage because you have the information advantage. CEO is supposed to have more information. And because of this information asymmetry, the balance of power will always be tilted in your favor. You are in American style, you are in German style, in certain situation, the balance of power when it comes to decision making will always be on you. And that is where you can use your discretionary powers. And this is called residual loss. And that is why I'm giving you a big sweeping statement. The agency cost can be minimized, but it would never be eliminated because of this residual loss. This is something, discretionary power, which the agent always enjoy. In the Anglo-Saxon system, he enjoys it more. In the German style model, maybe it's less. Who knows? It depends upon empirical evidence. But this residual power would always remain with the agent. This is why the agency cost can never be zero. You can minimize it, but can never make it zero. Does it make sense? Or not? Look, these are the indicators I was looking for. Right? On this slide, you can see these. These are just some proxies of bonding cost. You can use R&D ratio or asset utilization ratio, or third one, which is very common, is the performance-based pay to the total pay. Ignore this task. These are not meant for you because this I teach in another course as well. So that's why it starts. The second theory is resource dependence theory. Remember, these slides are available in Optima. Look, before we study resource dependence theory, we have to change our spectacles. We take off our agency theory spectacles. Can somebody sum up, what do you know, what type of ideas you get from the agency? Don't tell me what is agency theory, but please tell me what type of feelings, what kind of thoughts you get after studying agency theory. Stefan? Yes. People are selfish. They have their own agendas, right? Given the chance, they would do some siphoning off the money. They would try to manipulate and all that thing. So there is some kind of element of negativity when we study the agency cost, right? Suspicion, doubt, some kind of politics going on in the board of directors. There is some kind of frustration, some kind of suspicion. We try to plug that we want to buy your loyalty and all these kind of things. We are monitoring you, checking you, right? But when we start studying resource dependence theory, we get some ideas of positivity. Yeah, positivity, good air. Some kind of better relationship. There is more symbiotic. There's a word kind of situation when it's more like it's not suspicion. It's not about monitoring, watching, spying, anything. It's more about faith, your confidence, your skills, how you can be beneficial to the company. Yeah. So there is a feeling of positivity when we study resource dependence theory, because look at the word. It shows that the board of directors are the resources, right? And the firm depends upon its resource. And the biggest resource is the board capital. The board of directors, including EDs and NEDs. EDs are executive directors, NEDs are non-executive. All together, they make a board capital. And this board capital will determine the company's development. Make sense? Now, the board capital is comprising of two things. The one is your human capital, which is your education, experience, expertise. The other is relational capital, how well you are networked. Imagine these people are in the 60s and 70s or 50s, right? So before before they joined the company, many of them would have been CEO of a bank or something, or some global experience. And when they people join your company, they also bring their relations. They come with a baggage. And that baggage, those relationships can be good for you. Imagine one of them is a former CEO of a bank. After joining the company is in a crisis, financial crisis. This guy can bargain on your behalf with the bank. Relations matter. So when you are capitalizing on the relationship capital of some directors, or this CEO is playing golf with the company's CEO who is a supplier of inputs, and you're running cash. Your cash is drying up, and you're calling many suppliers. Can you sell us some inputs? They say no. Give us cash, and then you call your friend. Hey, or you discuss this matter when playing golf, and then say, all right, no problem. All others are giving you 3 months credit. I give you 6 months credit. Come on, you're my friend. Does it make sense? This is called relationship. So your board capital is sum of your all education, experiences, skills, etc., and then plus your relationship capital. Generally speaking, well, I will not discuss too much about it. The board of directors can bring the capital to the company in 2 ways. The one category of these directors is called business experts. At the risk of being challenged, I would call them as jack of all trades. Business experts are these people who still in their current life or in the previous life were managers of the other companies. Remember, these non-executive directors of your company could still be the managers of other companies. All right? Like, for example, the non-executive director of Nordea, one of them could be CEO of Finnair. Do you get my point? No. You can't be CEO of Kone and Nokia together. That's why I'm saying that as an executive, you have only one job, but you can be on the non-executive board. Of course you can. We call it interlocking. That, for example, you are a CEO of a company, I'm a CEO of a company, I become your non-executive, you become mine. That's called interlocking, we use a word. So that we have mutual stakes. Of course, we will not fight. One thing is clear. Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is that the business experts, they are more solution-centric. They can find quick solutions because they are the kind of problem you come today, these people would be having the same problem in their own life, right? For example, you are finding a problem. Let's say you are a CEO of this company and you're finding, hey, I think my cost of capital is really going up. What should I do? The Finnish banks are not giving me loan and they're really making things complicated for me. Don't worry. I had the same problem. And then I approached some German banks and we were able to negotiate. So I can solve this problem for you. So they can provide quick solutions. But mark my words, they have a wider knowledge of solving problem, but depth is not that much. So they can help you to solve more operational problems rather than the deep problems. So they are like GP, general practitioner, but not specialist doctor. All right? Sound sense? So who are these people? Well, they would be CEO of a company, CFO of a firm, all right, or some marketing or doing the similar job which you are doing. Mm-hmm. Well, there is some responsibilities which you are supposed to, or don't recruit those people who are in the same industry. There's one possibility. If let's say you're an IT company and you don't want to keep another IT company CEO or as a NED, don't keep it. Don't keep it. Yeah, that's a good question. In many companies, it's a debate that if we bring outsiders to the board of directors, then there's an issue of losing your, because all IT company has is the knowledge, and they want to capitalize this private knowledge. If this becomes public, too public, or prematurely, it can be a loss. Yes, you have a valid point. Then be careful about choosing your board of directors. These are the people, they have less the width of knowledge, but they have depth of knowledge. Like imagine, many companies in America, they have finance professors on the board of directors. They may not solve your daily problems, but they can go into deep analysis, deep data, big data, deep research, and then they can provide some financial model for you, which you incorporate in your strategy. We have some marketing people, marketing consultant, not a company, but a consultant is on the board of directors. They only and only work for marketing kind of jobs. So they don't have wider portfolio, but they have very deep knowledge about marketing. They're called support specialists. Look at the word specialist. They are specialist. Specialist has more knowledge than the expert. That's why he's called expert, specialist. The third category, they in many ways are called trophy directors. Trophy directors, which means that they are recruited to win the public image or the public perception about you. Imagine I want to start a chemical company, and the plant would be somewhere in the lake, Lake Uvascula. All right. There's always a problem that the water can be polluted. What I do, I recruit some local politicians as my non-executive directors, or somebody who lives, the big guy who people respect. So I can recruit him or her on the board of directors. So those people who are more like your image builders, by recruiting them, you can win legitimacy and confidence of society and people. That is called support specialists. Sorry, not sports. Community influential. Sorry, this third category. Like, and this can become very bizarre at times. Like for example, many companies I know in US have some major football player and the Hollywood stars on the board of directors. They do nothing, but they bring some kind of image. They kind of optics, the kind of signals they generate are very positive about the company. Make sense? Right. Now I want to show you the board of directors. I know it was page 116, so let's go there very quickly. And then I would, this is the last thing we do today. Where are the pictures? Come on, where are the pictures? Oh no, what was that? Looking in annual report is like a open sea. It's so complicated to know people. Look, these are the company's executive directors. Can you see that? So these are the heads. And you can see there is a small bio of each of them. And then you can make out that what has been their past, the present, and what type of skills, what type of experience, what type of expertise they bring to the company. All right. For example, you can see that. Remember, these are Walter is a CTO, and he is master was in mind. Now here I can be a little bit critical, what we mining guy doing in airline, but then I see that he has been part of McGregor, slightly bigger. Zoom in so that you can see the whole. And he has worked in Hong Kong, so he is more international, yeah. And also the key position of trust. The key position of trust is that what else he is doing other than being CEO of Finnair. Well, he is also a member of the board of National PLC, British company. He's a member of the, I don't know what his board is doing, but he's also involved with other companies. So these are the people who are company. For example, Arya, she's a MBA and she has worked as a corporate communication and corporate responsibility in Finnair. So she is affiliated with Finnair for a long time. And before she has worked for Nokia in communication position. And she has always been, also been some vice president of. So if you see, I would rather call her not business, I would call her because she has always been in communication. So she has a diversity of work. She was always, I would rather call her support specialist. But if I look at CEO, I would rather call him business expert because he has worked in different jobs, but in different designations. So he has a wider portfolio, but not so deep. Does it make sense? So you can try to see each of them through the categorization of whether they are support specialists or whatever resources they can bring to the company. All right, and then we can also look at the non-executive directors. For example, Ming Meng, she is a Swedish national. She has a background in computers and economics. And she is a member of Finnish, oh, sorry. What have I done? She has been a member of the Finnair board of since 2017, and she is independent. Remember, she's, look at the word. The only Finnair is the honorary and the honorary. That's it, right? So she is, so if for example, there's a board, there's some conflicting issue, I would say all the previous managers, they would side with the CEO. I was in danger, but I, all else being equal, she would stay. And she was saying, hey, Mr. Manager, I agree with you. Most you can sack me. I have no problem because what do I get from your company? Right? So if you have less economic, these kind of thing, you know, affiliation, then all else being equal, you're more upright and more stable. Because pay is pay. You get your point? Look, it's very she is independent. One thing, not every non-executive director is independent. All right? But here it's clarified. She is independent. Means she has no economic or financial interest. She has no business interest. And also, she's also working, look at that, she's a member of the board of India and National and Swedish. What could be better than her? All the companies she is concerned have a direct linkage with the airline industry. She is a big asset. All right? Does it make sense? So this is, so she is a resource. Can I call her a resource? Well, this is according to the resource dependent theory. Okay? So you can check each CEO, not each director. First of all, their heads and nets, and you can count almost 50-50. I don't know who's more, but basically they are equally distributed. Okay, and then you can see the bio, small CV, if I can say so, and check that what are the resources. You can also find out, hey, this guy is working for this company, but he's also working for a rival. There could be a problem. And I would say there one critical point of failure that executives are very, how to say, it's not a very diverse board. They all are famous. But when I look at the next non-executive director, she is Swede, maybe she has some Asian connections. And then we have this gentleman who is a Irish, and likewise. So this, it seems that their non-executive directors are more diverse. All right, and remember, remember age, gender, nationality, also to me seems to be not so diverse. For example, Nokia is more of that. Yeah? Look at Nokia. It's very, very diverse. Super diverse. Both executive and non. You can see many Canadians not only in the net side, but also in the ed side. Ed means executive. Okay, so